All right, y'all. We back here with another episode of the Prolific Hangout. Now, we all know that we in WrestleMania season right now. And, WWE slash TKO is having a little trouble selling WrestleMania tickets. I could go down a whole list of reasons why they're having trouble, but that's not what we're here for today. That's not what we about to get into. What I'm here to discuss, I want to go back to my childhood when I was watching wrestling, right? And my favorite WrestleMania storylines leading up to the WrestleMania match, or the rivalries. Now, I've been watching wrestling for a while, probably since like 93, 94, but I wasn't able to grasp and understand exactly what was going on with like the characters, the storylines. It really wasn't no real big storylines back then neither. But prior to that, in like the late 80s and early 90s, it was a couple of storylines. But when I was able to understand it and really get into it, was like around late 95, early 96. So my first WrestleMania match that I was hyped up about, the rivalry and the match that I couldn't wait to see, was Undertaker versus Diesel. That match had me hooked. Like everything leading up to that match, they had, and shout out to Kevin Nash too, because he did business on his way out of the door. So, shout out to him for putting on a solid match with the Undertaker, all right? Now, leading up to that match, the rivalry started at the Royal Rumble prior to, WrestleMania 12, right? They had a face-to-face confrontation. Diesel was just upset about getting eliminated from the Royal Rumble, and Undertaker was about to have a title match with Bret Hart. So they had a little standoff or whatever, and they threw some shots at each other. Had like a mini brawl. Nobody got the upper hand. Nobody got the best of each other. But the fight was broken up. So we all thought that was it. Nah. At the end of the Undertaker versus Bret Hart title match, Diesel comes out and he pulls the referee out before he could count to 3. When the Undertaker had the match won. And he would have became champion, but Diesel ruined that for him, right? Now, the rivalry starts. Now it's on. Undertaker wants revenge. Diesel, he did that on purpose. He even gave the Undertaker the finger before he left and walked away. That was like the icing on the cake, right? So, the next event. The cage match between Bret Hart versus Diesel. Undertaker had to get his revenge, right? So what happens is Bret Hart and Diesel is having this cage match. It was pretty decent. It was a pretty decent cage match. And this is back when they still had the blue steel cage in WWF. Right? So look. Diesel is on his way to climb out of the cage to win the match. Undertaker, out of nowhere, pops up from underneath the ring. It looked horrifying. The way he popped up, all you seen was his hand just pop up through the ring. And then he pulls Diesel down underneath the ring and do I don't know what to him. But Diesel gets pulled down by the Undertaker underneath the ring, right? Smoke starts to come up through the hole that he pulled him in. They made it look real good and horrifying at the same time. Nobody knows what's going on, and then Diesel pops up from underneath the ring with his pants all ripped up. And he got this look of terror on his face. Like he's terrified. Perfect. Kevin Nash played that role perfect. Like I said, he did business on the way out. Salute to him. Now, Diesel leaves. He leaves the cage. He's trying to get away from the Undertaker, right? And he leaves the cage and he's just looking at him, and Undertaker is standing at the top of the cage, like pointing at him. Like, yeah, I'm coming for you. This ain't over. So I think the following week on Superstars, I think it was Superstars of Raw, and Diesel gets a cameraman, brings the cameraman back to where the Undertaker's casket was at. He had one of them wooden caskets, right? So Diesel starts to tear the casket up with an axe, like chopping it into pieces. I guess that was his revenge, but it wasn't good enough. Because next thing you know, the next shenanigan or the next mind game the Undertaker and Paul Bearer played on Diesel was they had a fake Diesel in a casket, like showing him his future. But it looked just like Diesel inside the casket. I still don't know how they pulled that off. And like I said, back then they used to go all out to do stuff like that, to pull little tricks and stunts and vignettes, and they don't do that no more. That's gone. But that was a long time ago in 1996 when everything had to be competitive in different wrestling companies, and they put on a great show. They had to put on a great show, or else that company would have went out of business. But now I'm like terrified for Diesel, because I'm like, oh man, they had him in a casket. Could that be his future? So they promoting the WrestleMania 12 match, and I'm sitting back. That's the one marquee match I couldn't wait to see. That was the match. That wasn't even the main event. That was the match before the main event, before the Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart Iron Man match, right? Oh, and that leads me right into the next one. The Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels Iron Man match. Now, it was really no real heat, like backstage or in the storyline. It was just that Shawn Michaels had a boyhood dream. He wanted to win the belt, and he won the Royal Rumble, so he got the privilege and opportunity, rightfully so, to get the belt, to get the wrestle for the belt. He goes against Bret Hart. Now they put out an announcement like, hey, this is about to be an Iron Man match for an hour. My mind was still stuck on an Undertaker versus Diesel match. That's the match I wanted to see. But man, the way they hyped that rivalry up with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart for that Iron Man match, that got me intrigued too. I'm like, oh, this is pretty serious. Like, they show Shawn Michaels working out, like the workout videos with him and Bret Hart. They show, Shawn Michaels practicing in the ring with Jose Lothario. They also had Bret Hart, out in Canada. He's training, he's jogging on a treadmill. You got Stu Hart stretching him out inside of the dungeon. And they was cutting their promos on each other in the ring. Nothing too hot and heavy though. But I'm like, oh, I actually want to see that match too. The way they did those workout videos with him and Shawn, that sold the match right there for me. But they was cutting little promos in the ring. Shawn Michaels, he wanted to live his boyhood dream out. Bret Hart wanted to prove that he was the best, but he was also saying that he liked Shawn Michaels, but he didn't really like Shawn Michaels' lifestyle and what he portrayed. But he knew where Shawn Michaels' wrestling skills were. which is at the top. So he was all down for the competition. So, and plus I was a Shawn Michaels and a Bret Hart fan. More of a Shawn Michaels fan, and that's nothing against Bret, because Bret is great. But Shawn Michaels was like a top performer, doing high risk stunts and backflips, and he was doing amazing things in that ring. And he was so crispy with it too. But like I said, they don't do that no more. To sell that storyline and that Iron Man match and that rivalry, those workout videos did it. Cause they showed this was real. They was acting like this was a Rocky movie, and Rocky Balboa is about to go against Apollo Creed or something. So salute to them for hyping it up like that. But you see how that little thing just sold the match? From the outside looking in, from an outside perspective, you was sold on it because it looked like it was real. It was getting ramped up. They was really training to go a whole hour for an Iron Man match, and they delivered. Great match. Go back and watch it. Even go back and watch the Diesel vs. Undertaker match. WrestleMania 12. Now, I don't think we'll get any WrestleManias like that ever again, but they're always good to go back and watch. You know, especially if you was living through that time, it brings back a lot of memories.